All right. Looking into the question of hardcore, this is probably the last part of hardcore that we are looking into. Let's get done with the last part of hardcore. We looked into substantive procedures yesterday. Now we'll look into safeguards. So first we'll understand a small case. So here we have a small case in our hands. So let's finish the small case. And once the case is done, we will look into the remaining parts of the question. So first let's read up the case. What exactly is the case here? So when we look into the case here, a small write-up is there, not much. Let's quickly simplify this and get a good understanding about it. So what are they telling us here? So part D, when we are looking into the case, yeah. So it says that at the end of the planning meeting, what is happening at the end of the planning meeting? Let me just zoom in a little so that you guys can clear this. Okay. So at the end of the planning meeting, after the planning meeting was done, the finance director of Hart Co mentioned to the audit manager that one of the key reasons Morphco was appointed as auditor was because of its knowledge of the industry. There were some concerns, however, as to how Morphco would keep information obtained during the audit confidential as it audited three other construction companies specializing in environmental friendly materials, including Hardcore's main competitor. Okay, so what are they telling over here is that we know currently Morphco is the auditor of Hardco. Okay, Morphco is the auditor. Okay, Morphco was the auditor. Okay, who is the client? If there's an auditor, there has to be a client also. So who's the client? The client is Hardco. Okay, Morphco is the auditor, Hardco is the client. Hartko mentioned that the reason why they appointed Mofco is because Mofco has a lot of knowledge of the industry. How do they know that knowledge of the industry is there? How do they know that the knowledge of the industry? Because Morphco audits three other construction companies specializing in environmental friendly building materials, including Hartco's main competitor. Right? So Mofco is auditing three competitors of Hartco. So that gave the confidence to Hartco. That gave the confidence to Hartco that yes, Morphco have the industry knowledge. Now the only concern is how will they keep all the information confidential? The only question now is how will they keep the information confidential? Now the only question is how they keep the information confidential? That's the only question. How will they keep the information confidential? The only question is how will they keep the information confidential? Okay. So let's look into the case here. What have we understood, शुक्राना क्या हो रहा है इस केस में? तो कौन क्लाइंट है कौन ऑडिटर है? वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड, यस, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड. ओके, और अब इनको प्रॉब्लम क्या हो रहा है? व्हाट आर दे कंसर्न अबाउट? वेरी गुड, absolutely right. Okay, so that is exactly the write up. Yeah, Shivashri, did we understand the write up here? Yeah, take me through your understanding, Shivashri. What is the concern of Hardco? What is Hardco concerned about? Yes, Hardco is concerned that how will Mofco keep the information confidential? Why? Because Mofco already has three other clients in the same industry. So they don't want any leakage of data. They don't want any information from going from here to there. They don't want to give away their trade secrets. Right? They don't want to give away their trade secrets. So now we look into some of the safeguards that Mofco should apply. Okay. So what should MOFCO do now? Let's go into the question. Explain the safeguards which MOFCO should implement to ensure that the conflict is managed, confidentiality is restored. So what are the safeguards? So the key question is, what are the safeguards that MOFCO should apply? Okay, so what are the safeguards that MOFCO should apply? First one is tell both the clients and get the consent. So you have to first of all you should notify both the clients, both Hartco and the competitor, right, of Hartco. They should notify both the clients. First thing, notify both of them and get the consent. Tell both of them and make sure that both know, that get a consent. Notify and get a consent. First thing, notify and get a consent. Second, MOFCO should consider advising one or both the clients to seek additional independent advice. Okay, you can tell either Hardco or tell the competitor, any one or both, to seek an additional independent advice. To seek an additional independent advice. You can tell them to seek an additional independent advice. You can tell one or both. Uh-huh. इंडिपेंडेंट एडवाइस मतलब एक और डॉक्टर को दिखा लो. ठीक है, जैसे मॉर्फ को अभी हार्ट को के पास. सॉरी. हाँ, बस एक इंडिपेंडेंट ओपिनियन के लिए एक और ऑडिटर को हायर कर सकते हैं. ओके. सिर्फ एक और. जस्ट अ मिनट. Okay, so that is about this. Yeah, okay, that is about this. First is notify both the clients, get a consent. Second, get an independent advice. That means get another person. Okay, second is get another person, get an independent advice. That means get another person and tell the other person to have a look into your financial statements. Get another person. Next thing you should do is get another person. Next thing you should do is get another person. Get the advice of another person. Next thing that you should do is get the advice of another person. Okay. Next thing you should do is get the advice of another person. Okay. Next thing you should do is get the advice of another person. Next thing that you should do is get the advice of another person. Okay. Next thing that you should do is get the advice of another person. Okay. Next thing you should do is get the advice of another person. These are the two things that you should do. Get the advice of another person. Okay. Get the advice of another person. That is the next thing we should do. Get the advice of another person. Next thing that they can do. Firstly, you notified both the client, got the consent. Next, you got the advice of uh, you got the advice from another independent auditor. Next, have separate audit teams. Right? You ensure the audit teams are separate. Right? The partners are separate. Team members are separate. Okay. The separate audit team, separate partners, separate members. Next, files should be kept separate. Right? Separation of both teams, the work area should be separate, and their filing and everything should be confidential. Confidential data filing, secure data filing, confidentiality should be maintained. Strict physical separation of both the teams. There should be a strict physical separation of both the teams. Okay. Next, set clear confidentiality rules. Right? MOFCO should set out clear guidelines for members of each engagement team about security and confidentiality. Right? You have to make sure there are clear guidelines. Make sure there are clear guidelines. Next, MOFCO should consider use confidentiality agreement. Get everyone to sign a confidentiality agreement that they are all giving in writing that they will keep things confidential. And whatever work is performed should be reviewed by an independent reviewer right? Who is not involved. So basically, in the same company only, after MOFCO has done all the work, they can get someone from the same company, not an external third person. They can get another senior person from the same company to just have a look at everything. Okay. And finally, they should make sure that whatever above safeguards they have kept, there should be a regular monitoring of the above safeguards that are they are being followed or not. Just because if you tell in the starting and you forget, it doesn't work out, right? They can still people can still later on, do things that they shouldn't do, right? They can do things that they shouldn't do. Later on, they can do things that they shouldn't do. Later on, they can do things that they should not do. They can get into all this. Later on, it can be a problem. They can do things that they shouldn't do. Okay, what they can do is they can do things that they shouldn't do later on. So what we have to do is, okay, they can do things that they shouldn't do. So what they can do later on is, what they can do later on over here, what they can do later on over here is that they should keep a regular monitoring. Okay, they should keep a regular monitoring. They should ensure there's a regular monitoring. Okay, they should ensure there is regular monitoring. They should ensure that there is regular monitoring. Okay, they should ensure that there is regular monitoring. Okay, very important. They should ensure that there is regular monitoring. Okay, they should ensure that there is a regular monitoring of everything that they have done on top. If there's no regular monitoring, then people can break from the norm also, right? They can start doing things that they shouldn't do. Okay, let's go through the first 4 years. Shukrana, how have you understood the first four? What are the steps you should do if you have a conflict of interest? First four steps. Yes, very good. Okay, very good. Okay, that is about this. Everything should be separate. All right, Shivashri, let's look into the next four, final four. Yes. Hmm. Second. No, no, just a minute here. Shivashri, in the next one, confidentiality agreement will be signed by the auditors of Morph company only. Of the Morph company only. Okay. All these team members, whoever will sign, no, they belong to Morph company only, but they are doing the audit of Hart Co and competitor co. Okay, but they are of Hart company, they are of Morph company only. Okay. Okay, perfect. Next. Very good. Finally, yes, superb. So that is all about the safeguards, and that is all about our Hart Co. Okay, that is all about